So my experiences with bullying, I think probably the hardest time I had was when I was younger in 5th and 6th grade, and I was my full-grown size right now, so I was clearly larger than all of the other kids that were around, which made me a perfect target for people to say all sorts of goofy things to. And I was very, very lucky because I had have a really supportive family. And they really helped me through it by making sure that I believed in myself, pointed out all of my good qualities, and made sure that I understood that I had something to offer regardless of what other people said about me.
As a child, I was bullied often, mostly because I was the smallest kid in class, I was the palest, and I was the quietest, and I always wore sweatpants. And as you can tell, I'm still pale. I'm not quiet anymore, but I still wear sweatpants every day. But
the message about bullying, to not allow that bully to, I guess, put you down. That's harder, to do. It's easier to say than to do. But right, everyone has a special talent. And I think those kids that are getting bullied don't allow to share those. And I see it in the high school. Someone who's getting bullied, they have, so much to offer, but yet they're not showing us that because they're so much more worried about what that kid or those people are saying. Does that make sense? So if there would be one thing I would like for not only our high school but other high schools, is for us to somehow raise some of that confidence in kids, because then the bully doesn't even resonate with those kids who he's bullying, right? Because if I have confidence and I know that I have something to offer to the high school community, my family, my friends, then that who's ever talking in my ear doesn't even matter. All right?
Whenever people are placed in a situation that they have to get along, in other words, you're taking many different people from many different walks of life, there are always going to be disagreements. The probably most common experience of everybody is having to deal with that, at least now at high school, because many different people are put together, and Kimberly is a fairly close-knit and homogeneous community, so there's not a lot of difference that you see. I grew up in a very different...
Why do we think that people who are different from us, why do we create these categories? What I've learned is that people are people around the world. They have the same needs around the world. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what their religion is. It doesn't matter what their sexual orientation is. It doesn't matter what their skin color is. It doesn't matter what their language is, their nationality. What I found from traveling around the world is that people are people. They've got the same blood running through their veins. They have the same needs. They need to be loved. They need to be accepted. They need to have connections with people. And so we need to, rather than be afraid of somebody who might be different than us, we need to get to know that person, throw away the parts that are not important, the differences that aren't important, and celebrate the personhood.
In terms of bullying, I think one of the most profound experiences I ever had, and harassment, was not necessarily with me, but it was with my brother. He was being harassed and bullied by a lot of different people, and it wasn't just the people at the high school. It was people in our family. He had some issues with some people that were just around, and I can remember one day he had finally had enough. One of the people who was harassing him had said something to him, and he went into the kitchen and he took a knife from the drawer and he went downstairs, and I saw him do this, and I went down there and I saw him, and he was just sitting on the chair crying with this knife, wondering what was the next step for him. And it really hit me then how powerful and how painful bullying and harassment could be.
But whether we're teachers, whether we're just friends or other schoolmates, whenever we see something, we're part of the problem if we let it go. If we don't say something, we all have a responsibility to say, hey, that wasn't very nice, or whatever we need to do to call attention to a situation that might have happened, okay? And that might be that we see somebody being bullied, Or that might just be that we hear somebody say something about a group of people. You know, maybe we should stop a bit more and say, hey, did you really mean what you just said? Because this has been my experience.
Knew that if I knew what I was about and knew why I valued myself as a person, that I could really get through anything. And I also learned that there are always people around. Sometimes you have to search them out, but there are always people around that are willing to help you. You just need to find them and make sure that beyond everything that you don't give up, because it does get better, and you really learn to value and respect those people that do stick by you and help you through those hard times.
Rather than judge people on who I think they might be, I try to make sure that people are judged based on the way that they treat other people, and probably most directly myself. So as I walk around, I try to follow that golden rule, and I try to make myself the example that other people would be. I'm trying to make sure that people are going to be treated the way that I would want to be treated. That's the golden rule.
It makes you feel like you're this big, and the way I dealt with it was mostly to realize that even though I'm little, I can't help it. I can't help that I'm, a pale color. I can't help that. So just enjoy who you are as a person. As I got into high school, once again, I still wore sweatpants and so forth, and kids actually made fun of me for what I used to wear. So just looking back at that, it's interesting that what you wear determines who you are at school, and it shouldn't be that way, because who you are as a person makes a difference.
As an educator, I have had the experience of being in a school that went through quite a bit of troubling times. We lost quite a few students to suicide, and it was, I can tell you, it was by far the most difficult thing I've ever experienced as an educator. Students that I was very, very close to that really shocked me when I found out that it happened. And I think the hardest part for me was I felt like if they just had somebody that they could have gone to or to talk to or reach out to, that there were so many people after the fact that were saying over and over again, had we only known, we could have helped them. What did we do wrong? Why didn't they find someone to talk to? And I know my students, to see their reactions anytime we had to make an announcement about a student, it was really difficult, and I know they experienced the same sorts of thoughts. I sat with that person in class, why didn't they say anything? Why didn't I know? Why couldn't I have helped?
My advice, I guess, to students out there who, maybe they don't know, feel as comfortable with an adult here, that, that's what we're trained to deal with. We're here to help students through it. We don't have every answer always, but we certainly will do our best to help students to get to a better place where, we can deal with that conflict. Sometimes you have to take a risk to have things get better, and reaching out to somebody that can help you with that. Like I said, our experience here is that if you don't do anything about it, it's probably not going to get better, and there's definitely, we're resources here to help students through that.
It does get better. After high school, after college, or wherever you go after high school, you're going to find your niche, you're going to find your family, and it does get better. And even if there's still harassment out there, which there is, and there's bullying, it gets better. And you can work with your family, you can work with your friends. I just never keep it to yourself. Make sure you tell someone you trust, whether it's a teacher, a principal, your best friend. Get someone who's going to be on your side and help you out.
Okay, I just wanted to say that if you're going through a really bad situation, one of the things that you need to realize is that even though it might feel really bad today, it gets better. Where you are today is not necessarily where you are tomorrow. Okay.
Sometimes you might feel like you're the only one going through something. But what you need to realize is that there are other people experiencing the same sorts of things. It's not important to have a huge group of friends as long as you have one true friend. And even if you don't, maybe reach out to others and try to make a new friend. The important thing is know that there are people who care. Teachers, that's why we became teachers. We care. So don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. We're here for you.
And so, things sometimes can be pretty dark, but you can get beyond many of those experiences.
And to anyone who may be struggling with issues, you need to understand that there are so many people that want to help, that want to be there for you, to lighten your load and to help you through it, because tomorrow is a better day. And it does get so much better than where you're at right now. There's so many good things to look forward to and such a bright future that if you can find someone to help you, reach out to that person. There are people there that want you to succeed, to find brighter days, and to know that it really does get better.